Hi, I'm Liz Seeley, founder of Starry-Eyed Strategy, and I help you turn creativity into your greatest competitive advantage. After decades partnering with the world's best, biggest, and most beloved brands, I want to take you behind the scenes to see how the most creative leaders turn ideas into impact. Each episode features leaders from top CEOs and CMOs to founders and authors, revealing how they stay inspired to create brands that launch and last, and how you can do it too. You'll walk away with practical lessons and tools you can use, whether you're repositioning your brand, rallying your team, or planning your next big launch. So let's get started and stay starry-eyed. My guest today is Paul Macaluso, CEO of Torchy's Tacos, the Austin-based fast casual chain known for its award-winning queso and damn good tacos. Paul brings over 30 years of restaurant industry experience to the role. Paul, you must have started as a teen. Most recently served as president and CEO of Another Broken Egg, where he oversaw footprint expansion and a lot of sales growth. Before that, he held senior leadership and marketing strategy roles at GoTo Foods, including president of McAlister's, SVP of brand marketing strategy across a whole portfolio spanning Auntie Anne's, Carvel, Cinnabon, Moe's, Schlotzsky's, which we'll get into. And Paul started in the industry as, is this true, a restaurant general manager with Taco Bell?
I did.
That was so cool. So spent a decade there in ops and marketing, which is really, really amazing. Paul, I'm excited to be with you today. Welcome to Stay Starry-Eyed.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Appreciate that awesome introduction.
Well, as we jump in, what do you hope the brand leader listening will think differently about or try after today's conversation, especially those who might be up and coming, looking at what Torchy's is up to lately?
Yeah, I tell you, like I said, 30 years in this industry. It's been an amazing industry to me. All of my, career aspirations have come true. So I feel like, now in this kind of phase of my career, it's all about, helping other folks achieve their, dreams and career advice and aspirations. So I'm really excited about sharing what's worked for me and hopes that it helps other people. So that's what it's all about at this point.
That's wonderful. And what kind of aspirations did you have, Paul? Did you set out knowing what you wanted to do and where you wanted to go?
Yeah, it's funny. I joined Taco Bell right out of grad school. I got my MBA, and I was recruited by PepsiCo. So when PepsiCo owned the restaurants, so that gives you some, more perspective on my age. But the first few years were supposed to be in the restaurant division. I was supposed to work in the bottling division, then the snack division. That was how they presented the opportunity. So my first role was in restaurants, was Taco Bell, and then there was a spinoff, which became Yum, so I never did those other things. And I stayed in restaurants. I was there at Taco Bell for 10 years. But one of my first roles was a general manager of Taco Bell restaurants. It was fascinating. I fell in love with it, fell in love with the pace of the industry. That was an amazing culture back then at Taco Bell. I just have a tremendous amount of respect for that brand still because of the culture, innovation, and development. But one of my first conferences I ever went to as a general manager, the president of Taco Bell was on stage talking about the importance of GMs and how everyone needs to support them. And he had shared that he had started his career off as a general manager of some other brand years, decades earlier. And I was like, holy crap, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can become a president of a brand one day or lead a brand one day. And it kind of just clicked. And then I just set up a plan to make that happen. Had amazing mentors, did a lot of development on myself, got a lot of cross-functional experience. And, I think it was almost 27 years later, it became true when I became president of McAlister. So it came on pretty early on that it was something I wanted to aspire to achieve.
Wow, that's wonderful. Well, tell us a little bit more about how you started. Yeah, what did those early days at Taco Bell teach you? How did that kind of set you up to lead later on?
Yeah, I mean, being a general manager was one of the most fun jobs I've ever had. It was actually very similar to what I do today in a lot of ways because you have so many different responsibilities. So I have just tremendous respect for people on the front lines that are running restaurants because you get experience with, HR issues, some crazy and wild, but, HR and people and development. And then you have, P&L responsibilities, you have facility responsibilities, you have customer service, obviously, marketing, local marketing. So it really was a great foundation for my career. It always keeps me connected to like why we do this and what we need to be ensuring we're working on is the front lines. But with Taco Bell, they were great because they were really good about cross training and developing. So I did that for a few years. I got into their express business, their non-traditional business, Taco Bell Express. I got to work on that for a few years. They moved me into HR for a year where I got to be a recruiter. I moved into then they moved me into marketing, moving out to the headquarters in Irvine. So I got a couple different marketing jobs. So 7 different roles over 10 years, multiple disciplines and functions, which was really amazing for me because, with my aspirations to lead a company, lead a brand one day, it was really important for me to have that multidisciplinary. The middle part of my career was really progressive marketing roles. I kind of found my niche in marketing. And so then I kind of moved all the way up through like a VP and I was a chief marketing officer roles. And between marketing and brand strategy, those were kind of my niches as I really, made bigger and bigger impacts. But still the foundation is really the frontline, general manager. It all really comes down to that.
That makes perfect sense then, that you would know all the different facets and functions and understand all 360 view of how that brand would work in the end. I don't know if when you were at Taco Bell, you talked about customer mania and that focus on the guest. Is that where you
Yeah, I was there.
Focus begin?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was there through all those early days of Yum. And just amazing culture of developing and recognition was a big part of the culture there. Just amazing leaders. When I left, Greg Creed was the CMO of Taco Bell.
Okay.
And so he hadn't even become president of Taco Bell yet, and then obviously CEO of Yum. So it was really had amazing leaders and there's a bunch of folks that are now leading brands that were kind of like my counterparts and colleagues at manager and director level. So it's really cool to see how that has come to life because of those just great leaders that were running the brand at that point.
Yeah, it's spectacular. When you were at Taco Bell, I think when Yum spun off, I was at KFC. Okay. And we were always looking at what Taco Bell was doing because they were doing it the best.
It's so good. I mean, they were just so good, and they'd continue to do it. I mean, they just continue to crush it, and it's amazing. And it's kind of proven out in their valuation and how their franchisees are, just continuing to be successful. But just the innovation that they continue to do, and how they resonate with their target. I mean, they just understand who their target is, and they understand how to continue to develop compelling and differentiated products. It's amazing.
It is amazing. And that, again, that makes sense that was your foundation, the focus on the end guest, the front lines. And also, I feel like they're just one of those academy companies. They are sort of the P&G of restaurants where you are focused on just continuous improvement all the time.
Yeah.
How fun.
Absolutely loved it.
When you think about, I want to touch on for just a second, that recognition culture. Tell everybody what that was about, especially from the Taco Bell side.
Yeah, I mean, it was really phenomenal. Just a lot of celebration, a lot of appreciation for top performers, different initiatives. There was a champs cheer. We had all these different cheers that we would do. Yeah, we would have all these different. I wish I had some of the material still. It's been a little bit since I left. Obviously, I left in 2002, so it's been a while. But it really started at the top with all the leaders. They really bought in. They were very vulnerable. They really bought into it, and it's important because as I think about what I do now. It's a part of my daily routine. It's part of when I go to a restaurant, everybody knows I'm going to ask what we call managing partners or the general managers, tell me about the people that are living our values. And we sit down and we fill out these little cards together and I give them out and I give them a little pin. And, it's all comes from those days. It comes from those days at Yum and Taco Bell. And I just do the same thing. I have them here in my bag, and I bring them to every restaurant, and it's just a part of my routine, is continue to share what our values are, why they're important, and recognizing the people that are living them.
Amazing. And let me pause and go back to the rest because I want to cover your go-to foods focus brands, Dave. I want to talk about Torchy's and their values and your recognition. I love the idea of them with.
Yes.
Walk us through the rest. Where did you go from there after your Taco Bell days?
Yeah, Taco Bell days. I was recruited by a boss who had left Taco Bell to go to Burger King. So I got almost 5 years at Burger King. It was amazing. Moved from Southern California to Miami. So I moved coast to coast, and got some great product marketing experience there. It was amazing. It was a turnaround. As if you remember, Wake Up with the King, when the King came back into the commercials and stuff. That was that period of time. A lot of change. It was 3 different ownership groups in the 4 years I was there. It was private equity to a different private equity to public, and great leaders. Turnaround. I really learned a lot about what it takes to turn a brand around, and a lot of that was product innovation, great advertising, great operational focus. Then I spent 5 years at Sonic, so I moved to the center part of the country to Oklahoma, and at a really cool brand, really amazing customer base that just loves that brand. A lot of drink innovation, and I worked on product, and then eventually was chief marketing officer there. And then I was recruited to Go To Food, so I moved to Atlanta, and that's first was working on Moe's. Then I worked across all 6. They have 7 brands today, but 6 brands at that time. I worked brand strategy, and then I became president of McAlister's there. So just great experience with like national brands, regional brands, rapidly growing fast casual brands, QSR brands. So I've got to work across multiple disciplines. As you mentioned, I then left and went to another Broken Egg Cafe. It's my first full service experience. That was awesome too, and grew that brand to over 100 units. So yeah, we've been fortunate to work on some really amazing brands in different segments of the industry, and different kind of platforms. So it's been a lot of fun.
So fun. How do you decide when these opportunities come to you? What's the through line? How do you decide if a brand is worth leading? Because I'm sure you've had a lot of opportunities. You're like, no. What have you loved about all these different ones?
Yeah, I mean, early on, it was really about continuing to move towards that goal of becoming, a president of a brand. So I always kind of thought about it as, okay, if I kind of run my course at the current position, is this a bigger opportunity that's going to take me closer to that ultimate goal? So those were some of the things. Some of the moves were, honestly, were more personal, like the move from Burger King to Sonic, from Miami to Oklahoma City. I had a young family. It was super expensive to live in Miami and Oklahoma. I mean, so the part of it was also like where you are in your life with your family and things, and we were trying to buy a house and have my wife at the time stay home. So there was a lot of other things, but from a career standpoint, I always looked to continue to kind of march towards that goal, and that's really one of the big reasons why I went to Go To Foods, at the time Focus Brands, was because they were really looking at marketing leaders and that kind of mindset of putting the consumer first and growing brands across multiple channels. They were
Mhm.
looking for those type of people to lead their brand. So I knew I had a good chance of coming out of a marketing, even though I started my career off in operations. The middle part of my career was marketing. So they were looking at marketing leaders to run brands. So I knew there was I had a good chance with that kind of mindset of the senior team at that time.
Totally. That makes sense. And
Mhm.
when you said as the entry level, more like post school, when you said you had a goal and you put a plan in place, what did that plan look like for this next generation of brand
Yeah,
leaders?
I mean, I will tell you, I have had amazing, fortunate to have amazing leaders and mentors that have helped me a lot in goal setting.
Mm.
Um, I have great tools for goal setting, and it's actually pretty specific. So every year I do an annual kind of review of my goals. I do worksheets. I break it down into tasks that I can do daily and weekly to achieve my goals. So it's a very detailed program that I use, and I've always used. I believe in it because I'm a big believer that you've got to be doing things all the time to achieve your goals, and you've got to break it down into like tasks that things like, okay, this month I want to learn about this specific thing, and so I need to find somebody that's an expert in there. I'm going to reach out to them. I'm going to have a call. I'm going to learn about it. I'm going to go have a lunch, whatever. And it's funny. I'll give you like one really simple example. When I was at Go To Foods, I had applied to become president of a couple brands, and it didn't happen the first few times, obviously, because it doesn't always happen when you want it to happen. And one of the things I got from feedback from some of the senior leaders was, people love your work, but they don't really know you enough personally. You need to build relationships more. That was fair, because I was kind of a heads down guy. It's like, I want to get my work done. I'm going to stay in my office. I'm going to crank it out. I'm going to come in early, stay late. And I kind of thought, it's kind of a waste of time to go walking around talking to people. I don't really want to do that. I'm a little bit introverted. So I actually said, okay, how do I change that? Knowing what's a strength for me, which is like, if something's on my calendar or it's in my list to do, I will do it. So I put on my calendar, on my recurring Outlook calendar, every Tuesday and Thursday at like 2:00, I was going to walk the floor, and I'd create like a little elevator speech of what I was going to say. And I would walk down to this senior team floor, and I would just pop my head in and say, hey, how's it going? I'm working on this. Have any advice? So I was miserable the first few times I had to do it, because I was like, I have work to do. I don't want to do this, but it was all part of like the things I had to do at a very granular level. And then it became routine, and I started liking it, and I started building relationships. And then over time, when openings happened, people knew me more, and so potentially that that helped me when they made a decision on who was going to get promoted. So there's a ton to talk about there with goal setting, but I'm a huge believer in being very specific with goals, and I'm very fortunate to have had people help me a lot with that.
Mm-hmm. I love so much about that, including the fact that you took that feedback to heart. You didn't get defensive. You leaned into it, and you put a plan in place right away. It sounds like. Where does that focus on goal setting come from? Were you like that as a kid? Like, how did you get the superpower?
Yeah, it's funny. There's different personality tests you can take through the years, right? So I did the strength fighters. When strength fighters was a big thing.
Oh yeah.
So like, I know from that that achiever is a very big part of my personality, that I like to achieve things, and that's like how I derive value and what keeps me going. And then there's another thing that we've been using more here over the last few years, at the last few places I've been, the Enneagram, and another personality type thing. And I'm a 3 in the Enneagram, which is an achiever also. So again, it's like my strength is, it's all about getting things done, being productive, checking off the list, accomplishing goals. So I think part of it is just how I'm wired, but having the tools to help me bring it to life was super important. So when those two things matched up, it became, super powerful. And obviously it's not just about like career goals, right? I've got goals for, physical fitness. I got goals for, personal, financial things. So all of it is applicable in the same type of framework.
Of course. And can you tell us a little bit more about the system that you use? Where, say do it at the start of the year, I would imagine. And how do you break all those down?
Yeah, I don't, it's not like, I don't think it's anything like a specific company developed or whatever. It's just different components that I've been given by different folks over time. One of the main contributors, Russ Umfenauer, who was CEO of Focus Brands, at the time, now Go To Foods, huge in goal setting, just had great tools, including that little worksheet I told you about. And that framework of just, regularly checking in and just adjusting over time, right? Because I do it every year, but you might do it every 3 months. So things are going to change in your life and your aspirations, but just kind of staying regular with it. And it's pretty cool because I'm able to look back over time, because I've got now so many years of doing this, and say, okay, what did I say I was going to do in 2016, and what did I change my mind, and what did I accomplish? So it's also kind of cool from that perspective.
That's awesome. And then you can go back and see your progress. My husband and I do that every year. We take like a some sort of vacation weekend, doing our goals, planning, and we break it into categories of like professional, personal, spiritual, family focus, map it all out. And mine, I think, was my dad telling us, with 6 kids in the fam, you need a 1-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. And it's so fun. It's so fun because it gives you a chance to dreamline a little bit too, doesn't it? To think ahead to what could be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Where I fall
Very
off, though, is
cool.
what you're talking about, where it's actually the things that you do day to day to get there. Sometimes we do that, sometimes we don't. Do you have like a place that you put all of this as you break those down?
Yeah, I tell you, I have tried over the years to go 100% digital. I still have a written day planner that I do every single day. Yeah. So I've tried to convert it and it just doesn't work for me. I like to write things out and I kind of start my day the first 10 or 15 minutes. Just, okay, what are the things from yesterday that I didn't get done? I need to move those over to today. Then I need to add my list and I need to prioritize my list. So as I do that prioritization, I will review like, okay, what are the things that I want to do related to my goals today? Sometimes I don't have anything, but sometimes I do. So it's just part of that daily kind of kickoff of my day. And writing things down, and then I get to check them off, which I love checking things off the list. This is probably the best.
And there is something special. I for a couple years did all digital, and then my husband actually gave me a notebook. We write all of our annual goals in this special book that we're I don't know what kids or something, and then he gave me that notebook in the last year. And when I write things down, they are more likely to happen. It's crazy the way that works. Manifesting.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
How fun. Are you instilling that in your kids too?
Yes, I have talked to them about it. We haven't, actually written them down. I haven't like checked, if they're doing it, but I've talked to them about what works. And, Lisa, my oldest, who's now finished her sophomore year in college, there's that point where they don't think you know anything, but now she's coming around to like, oh, wait a second, asking me for advice. So we talked a little bit about it and, she's amazing. So she's doing great, but I'm just trying to help her with that, with regard to those longer term goals and some of these little tricks and tools that I've used along the way.
That's
for
brilliant.
sure.
This is a little bit of a funny question, but have you brought anything else from your professional realm into helping with the kids, like recognition culture, any of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's funny, right? When you think about the things the training that you get at great companies, it actually, so much of it does apply to your personal relationships, can apply to your personal relationships, right? So for sure, like there's a thing that we do, anybody that's ever worked with me in the last 10 years knows this. They're going to say it before I say it. It's called the Designed Alliance, which is basically you agree with your group, whatever that is, your executive team or your larger team, on kind of your ground rules, right? Guidelines for how you want to be with one another, how you want to act. And every year we review the previous year's Designed Alliance, and then we update it. And so it's really just about setting expectations for how you talk to each other, how you treat each other, how you communicate. And so, just like kind of what you said, what you do with your husband, it's the same thing. If you apply that same principle to your spouse or your significant other, if you're like, hey, we need to check in. How's it going? I had these, we agree that we were going to be this way with each other. This is where I think we're falling short. This is where I think we need to strengthen, and if you can do it in a way where it's not the middle of a big argument, so it's not emotional, but you can just do it like as a part of a normal process. It can be so healthy. So yeah, there's so many things like that, with either with the kids or with, your spouse, so many different principles like that makes life even better for sure.
I agree. Yeah, you take all of that we've learned there. This is what I appreciate. Here's what could be better.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. I think subconsciously I do that as a lot with the kids. It's like, okay, we're gonna have a difficult conversation. So how do I, first like couch it in really genuinely caring about this person at work? You care about people's careers and you care about like, you don't want to be devastating with them with bad news or whatever. Obviously, it's a lot easier with your family because you already have those bonds. But always starting with the positive, I think is always a great way to do it.
I agree. Did all the brands have that to a certain extent, that sort of corporate culture set up, or is that something you had to bring from your early young days and implement, especially with like a turnaround situation where stress levels could be high, it could get a little crazy?
Yes. I mean, I would say I've had a spectrum of cultures that I've walked into, from amazing to dysfunctional. So I'll leave it at that without saying which one was which, because it doesn't really matter. But in terms of the ones where I've been, in charge, where I've been brought in as the leader, that's fun. Foundationally, what I want to do is I want to understand like what are the values, what's the vision, the purpose, all those, like what are those core elements. Do we have them? Are they in existence? Are they written down, or are they just kind of exist? Do we need to, but I work with the team to articulate them, make sure they're true and still happening, and then just continue to feed into them and share them and celebrate them. So yeah, different places have been at on the spectrum, have been in different places on the spectrum in terms of how strong they were. At Torchy's, there was already great values in place. We did make some adjustments just because it hadn't been updated in a while. We did update everything from the vision, the mission statement when I got here about a year and a half ago. But the culture here was amazing. It was already amazing. There was just a culture of recognition, of celebrating each other, of having fun, a lot of pride. So when you walk into a brand that has so many strengths like that, because the founder was just such a great person, he's just such a good person. He really cares, and he gives back. Such a generous person that it's a lot easier to work with than like having a bunch of issues that you got to first like heal. People sometimes have to heal when you walk into a turnaround situation and they're just kind of bruised. So I've had some of that as well that I've had to, that I've had to inherit and work through.
It's really amazing too when you're just comparing and contrasting. At this point, I've seen the inside of hundreds and hundreds of different companies, and what you're saying of being close to the founder or close to the family, the ethos makes such a difference. Perfect segue into Torchy's. I don't know if I've told you this, but I'm an honorary Texan since I lived in
Okay.
for a number of years.
Okay.
Took a little Colorado break and had a Texas stint. But the loyalty to Torchy's, I mean, nationwide, but especially in Texas, is really amazing. Tell us a little bit more about how you came to that brand, the brand's culture. You can feel it as a guest.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's special. It's hard to. I don't want to compare against other brands I work for. It doesn't really matter. It's really this is a very special culture and brand. So it was founded 20 years ago here in Austin, 2006. Mike Ripka, who's the founder, is a trained professional chef. He created amazing food, but he was running out of a trailer. The trailer is still in the parking lot here. Well, the original trailer, we'd moved to the parking lot here in our office building, and just blew people away with the food. I mean, right? Because you're going to basically a food truck, parking lot, dirt parking lot out of a trailer to get tacos, and blew people away with the food. Obviously, then it spawned into brick and mortar locations, and now 120 locations in 15 states. So it's all starting with the food. And Mike is not a marketing guy. He doesn't have like a marketing degree, but he has amazing creative instincts. Create the name, the logo, the slogans. Damn good, and has a lot of attitude. It's a provocative brand. We're a little snarky and provocative, but we're fun. We're not like making fun of people. We're just having fun. So he created something very amazing, and so just being able to come in and kind of bring it to this next level has been amazing. The brand values were really about like originality, and that really ties to Austin itself. It's a city of people like to be authentic in themselves, and originality is kind of a part of Texas and Austin. And some of the other values are like respect, just for how we treat each other, being humble. Mike is a really humble guy, and just very honest and easygoing and approachable. When I got here, we added a couple that we tweaked a couple. We added a couple. We added youthful spirit, which is really about being curious, continuous learning, and having fun. And we added service minded, which is a huge one to me, which is at the end of the day, it's about serving guests. And for the folks at the support center, it's about serving those who serve our guests. So it's really a support mentality. And that was a little bit of an opportunity when I got here, is the field didn't feel like the office or the home office was as supportive as they could be. And so we changed that, a lot of it's the language you use, but it's also the mentality you use. So we added the service-minded component. So we have 7 values. They actually spell out Torchy's because
Of course they do.
of course,
I
you
would
have to.
expect nothing
It just
less.
makes it easier to remember. But yeah, those are some of those are some of the main ones. The first one is the T is tenacious, and that's really speaks to Mike and how he started off in this trailer and just like made it happen. And so at the end of the day, we're scrappy and we're going to get it done. And so that's that's an overview of the values, and it's a lot of fun to talk about them and celebrate those with folks. I can actually show you a little card that I have to go on my back.
Let's see the card. Let's see the pin.
Yeah.
And I wish, while you're getting that, I wish every CEO would come in and evaluate that. I've heard, some say, well, brand strategy, that's like ads and social media, right? You're like,
right.
No, friend.
Yeah.
Brand strategy is the business. What you
Yes.
said, mission, vision, values.
So we have this little card, so you can see it's
That's
a little
awesome.
recognition card. It's got the values across the bottom and on the back.
Wait, and for those listening, it says,
Yes.
thank you for being
Okay.
damn good.
You're being
to
damn
align
good.
with
And
those.
so then it has the 7 values on the bottom, and then on the back there's a place for me to write a little note, or all of our executives have these. It scans it for a little. It's a gift card, like $25. We can give out higher value. So we check off which value they're being recognized for, or multiple values, and we write a little note to them. So that's fun. So it's and then we have a little area in each restaurant in the back where they post these, because the general manager gets to give out versions of these as well, so people can share that they've been recognized. And then for me, I get to give out this little pin of Torchy. I'm gonna open it up here. I'm gonna try to share it here with the camera.
Yeah.
But let's see if we can get that in focus. But there he is. That's Torchy, and he's dipping a chip into some queso, which is world famous queso, and he's got little hearts. Because he's in love with the queso, little hearts.
Oh, that's adorable.
So he's a cute little, and honestly, 99% of the time, people don't worry about the $25. They just love the little $1 pin that I'm giving them. So
I was gonna say that's the thing that you don't want to lose.
yeah.
What's the $25 get you? Is that for tacos?
So it's just it's basically Amazon gift card, so they can buy whatever they want through Amazon.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Those pins are adorable. Can you get multiple pins?
Yes, because different members of the executive team have different designs. So we have 5 different members of our executive team. This is my CEO pin, but I'll have to mail you one of these after this.
Oh, I would love it.
But yes,
it's I need to do something though that warrants the value. I'm going to study the values and then make sure I deserve it.
All right, sounds good.
What are the other designs?
So we've got different, all with Torchy, all with the with the devil. But different designs for each one of the different members of the exec team have kind of landed on. So he does a lot of cool stuff. Yeah.
Wow, I love that. I love the customization component too. That too. It just means that much more, that it's especially from you.
Yes.
And does Mike also have a pin of his own?
Mike, I don't think Mike has a pin. He's been talking about getting one. So I just started doing this about 6 months ago. He gives out the cards, but I don't think he has a pin. So yeah, maybe
make him one. Make him one that's so Mike, for those who don't know, is Chief Innovation Officer, right? And he's still the founder embedded in it.
Yes.
Is his personality Torchy's personality, or is it just?
Yes, I mean, I think he's a fun-loving guy. He'll drop some F-bombs pretty regularly. So he's a very spunky guy, and he will say some stuff. You're like, oh man, but it's all comes from an amazing place. It's just like he's got a great heart and really cares. Incredible culinary mind as well. So yes, I think Torchy is, and there is actually a story from when he was still getting the brand like off the ground, that there was like a 5K here in Austin. This is one where we only had like 3 or 4 restaurants, that he painted his body in red and wore a diaper and ran the 5K because Torchy has a diaper. So yes, he dressed up as a human Torchy and ran the 5K.
Spectacular.
So he's pretty nuts.
So you're the CEO now. Are you on the hook to do that next?
No, that is not happening. That is not going to happen. But I'll do some fun things, but that's not going to happen.
That's like a one-time thing. I think he
Yeah,
can keep that as his signature. That makes
that's right.
perfect sense.
That's right. That's right.
And for those listening, what are the other values real quick? You got
Yeah.
tenacious.
So tenacious, originality. We talked about that original. Respectful is the R. The C is community centered. So again, it's all about like giving back in our communities and being a part of our communities. So that's a lot of fun. Humble is the H. And then youthful spirit, I mentioned, is the Y. And also service minded is the S. So those
Oh,
are
that's
the
awesome.
7.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Go back for just a second, Paul, to talk about the service-minded. I love that you would assess and maybe update some of those values. Tell us a little bit about that culture of support that you created. What are the ways that you helped the field feel more supported by?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's was one of the things I heard loud and clear, when I came in and met with some of the field-based folks, asked them how it's going, what's work, it's just, my first 90 days was all about meeting as many people as possible, visiting as many restaurants as possible, and asking them what's going well, what are the things me, as new CEO need to keep doing, make sure that doesn't change. What are the things that you'd like to see change? So just kind of listening and consistently heard it was called the home office. It's actually called the worldwide headquarters, which is kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing because we're in 14, 15 states. So, but the folks at the headquarters of the office don't, care enough about us. They don't understand what we have to go through. And blah, blah. They don't, I try to call up there and I don't get anybody live. Sometimes they don't respond to my emails, so there's a lot of this, like not feeling supported, not being supported. So I wanted to be very specific. I'm not always about adding things, right? But in this case, I felt like we really needed to strengthen that part. And so we had an offsite with all of the executive leadership. So that was like all like directors and above from the support center. We talked about changing the name of the headquarters to the support center because that wasn't really a debate. That was more of a directive for me. Like this is going to happen and we need to do this. Which I don't do a lot, but in that case I did. And then we talked about our values. We reviewed at the time there were 5 values. We talked about what was working, what wasn't, and what was missing. And we talked about, being service minded, that mentality and why that was important. We also included some of the field leaders at that meeting. So they got to hear from those folks, not just from me, from what I had heard, but from them, how passionate they were about how we needed to do this. So we added it to the values. We started publicizing it. That's one thing, right? It's a piece of paper and something you say you're going to do, but then it's really about how you continue to, actually act on it. So things like, went at a town hall. I said, this is the expectation. You're going to return all calls and emails within 24 hours. Like that's it. If that's not happening, I've asked the field to let me know personally. So if someone is notoriously like not responding, I'm going to find out and we're going to talk about that. We're going to fix that. So, kind of putting in some practical things that people needed to have as our expectations. And then just improving our communication. We created an ops services department. We didn't have an ops services department before. So a department that really is talking about all the things that are happening, that we're working on, a lot of great things we're working on, and making sure it's communicated in digestible format to the field. So they know all the things we're working on and they kind of serve as a gatekeeper for communication. So you're not getting a bunch of different communications, you're getting it organized. And so, because there was a lot of great things happening, the field didn't really know it because we weren't communicating well. So we created the ops service department and better communication. I started doing a monthly newsletter. We've now added a bi-weekly, basically like a pod. It's like a radio. We call it Torchy's radio, but it's basically like a 15-minute recording from different leaders. So because again, if people are driving to work or whatever, they may not be able to read the newsletter or may not have the attention span, or like this is not how they consume information. So we've added the Torchy's radio. So we're continuing to evolve, our communication all around this idea of giving them more support, giving them more information in this whole spirit of being more service minded. So
That's awesome. How exciting. I love the idea of giving it to them in the format that they feel most comfortable with, especially like you said, not everybody wants to read these days. Everybody's listening to what format is the Torchy's radio in?
it's just an audio file, that we can email them. They can just listen to it on their phone or whatever.
Super cool. And are there opportunities, I would imagine, at Torchy's for people to rise through the ranks as you have? Like, is there focus on obviously goal setting, but also, training and development?
Yeah. So, it is, as I reach this point in my career, it's all about making sure I'm giving back and creating opportunities for other people. So it's really fun. And I want to be known, I want Torches to be known as having the same kind of culture that Taco Bell had for me. Um, Obviously we're not going to have, 7,000 restaurants or whatever they have now. I think there was 5,000 when I was there. It's probably, triple that now, but even as a smaller company, still we're 120 restaurants. We have goals to be 200 restaurants in the next 5 years. We want to have that culture of developing people and providing opportunity. And so we have just launched a couple programs related to leadership development. So we have a high potential thing. So now we're doing menu reviews with evaluation succession planning. So we're actually being very deliberate about evaluating where people are, what their potential is, and then identifying the high potential folks to participate in additional training and education in smaller groups. So we just started that. A couple months ago. We had our conference, our 20-year anniversary conference last month, and we just announced that at the conference. So yeah, there's more to come. There's a lot more work to do, but it's definitely something that's super important to me and our chief people officer. And so we're collaborating on that and making that happen. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Spectacular. I think that's the missing link. I feel like that is the continuation of that brand strategy work, and that you're doing so well, that activation element to make sure that lives within and continues on. Our two teams renovated your focus brands, go-to foods with Cinnabon, Schlotsky's, Moe's. And I feel like that would be the perfect next step, and something that we're actually working on a couple of culture projects. Just what you're describing, how, what are the communications that they need? How can they feel like this is a place that they can stay and develop and make their dreams come true, as you have done?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. I mean, for us, we obviously want to create opportunities here for people to grow.
Yeah.
So that comes with us growing the brand, right? With growth and new restaurants and different channels, which we're working on different channels, not just having company operations. We're creating opportunity here, but the reality is, I want to create. I want people to be able to develop, and if they eventually go somewhere else, which the reality is, not everybody can make a career here for 25 years. If they can, that'd be amazing. But it's okay. It's okay because we invest in people, they're going to get better at their job. We may not be able to have an opportunity for them to exactly what they want when they want to, and they may go somewhere else, but that's okay. And that happened to me, and I still appreciate all the work that went along and the investment that people made in me. So love to create opportunities for people to advance their career here, but also understand that there's a lot of other opportunities in the industry, and so we're going to help people be prepared for those opportunities.
Well, Paul, if you could give one piece of advice to that marketer who wants to progress as you did, rise through the ranks to run a brand and run a business, not just market it, but do all the things that you've done, what's like one thing looking back that you would tell them to make sure that they focus on?
I'm a big believer, that marketing minds and people that have that lean towards their kind of their do have the opportunity to make great brand leaders and run brands, because I do believe in you're balancing the financial parts of the business, you're balancing the operational execution parts of the business, and the guest part of the business. I do believe if all things equal, you do kind of lean towards the tie goes to the guest, ultimately, just because of innovation and relevance and just trying to grow. So I do think if someone is a pure marketing person, like again, I had diversity and I had to start off in operations. But if someone is a pure marketing person their whole career, then I do think they need to invest in the other parts, the other sides of their experience, and spend some time in operations, spend some time in finance or development, and just round out your experience base, because it will help strengthen you. As we talked about, like ways to be creative, and at the onset of the conversation, I think you become creative when you have a diversity of backgrounds and a diversity of thought. And then because you're going to start thinking of things no one else has thought of because you have this diversity of background. So I think actually it helps to strengthen marketers when they have a diversity of different perspectives from the other sides of the business.
Great advice. Yeah. Yeah. Make sure you're getting that cross-functional training. And if you're not set up like that, like Taco Bell would be, where you get to do your rotations and see all the facets of it, find a mentor. Do what Paul has done, seek it out and get better at it.
Mentor, just put it on your list, like, hey, this month I'm going to spend one day with the ops leader. I'm going to do ride-alongs, like do it. Just put it on your to-do list.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I want to touch for just a second. I know we're short on time. Torchy's innovation. How in the world are you and Mike coming up with all these crazy taco combinations? And can you tell us anything about, with a brand like that, you do have the power to expand, like we envisioned for Cinnabon with that brand architecture, pop up in a lot of different products, platforms, partnerships.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mike is amazing. And we have a executive chef as well, Chef Cheryl, that she's incredible. So between the two of them, they're coming up with all kinds of, taco. We do a new taco every month. So that's a lot, that's a lot. A new drink every month, beverage of the month. And so, it's constant. We've got a great test kitchen. We've got, just great minds working on it. And we actually did some consumer research recently to understand our ability to get into the CPG space and like what consumers think about us. And the creativity of the menu was the number one thing. The creativity of the combos of different tacos and stuff is the number one thing people know us for. So that's really cool. That's all Mike, so Mike and Chef Cheryl. So they do an amazing job. But yes, we are looking at other channels to get into. We currently only operate company restaurants. That's it. There's no franchising. There's no non-traditional. There's no international. There's no CPG. We had about 5 years ago, we did have a couple products in CPG, but those kind of ended with the pandemic for some reason. So I'm looking at everything that we can get back into. Obviously, that model of diversifying the brand, having multiple channels. I think this brand, Torchy's brand, is the brand that really could do that. It just has a strong enough presence, an iconic nature that I think people are really going to accept it in multiple channels. So I'm very excited to start to work on that. I've been here a year and a half. The first year and a half was just fixing the base business and getting the team right. Basically, the executive team is all new. All 5 of us are new within the last year. I've got 15 VPs and above. 11 of those are new within the last year. So we've replaced and upgraded the team. That's really what I started with. We turned the business. We had 3 years of negative same-store sales when I got here. We turned the business in the fourth quarter last year. So we're accelerating the business on the same-store basis. So now I can start working on that other fun stuff, all those other channels and stuff. So that's the next phase for the brand.
That is the fun stuff. Yeah. Once you have that firm foundation, now you can do what Cinnabon and Panera and all the rest have done.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the interest of time, Paul, I'm going to switch us into a little starry-eyed sparks, a little lightning round, kind of whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
What's your favorite book? Like inspiring book that could be lately or of all time?
Wow. I'm going to go with an interesting one. It's called The 4 Agreements. This is a book that I read probably 20 years ago. I've read it a few times since. That really just talks about kind of the agreements we make with ourselves and our mind, and how that really can influence how we live. And so it was really made a big impact on my life. I was going through a really challenging time, and it was a friend recommended it to me, and I read it, and I've read it a few times, and it's really awesome. Like for quick, well, it's not lightning round material, I guess, but one of the agreements is like, don't say anything negative about yourself. That's like integrity of your word, and that the value of actually people say things about themselves is kind of like demeaning or deprecating, whatever. But that actually has an impact. It has a real impact on what you start to believe. So the power of your word is one of those key elements that's in the book. So.
Oh, I love that. Okay, I'm going to find that. I'm putting together a summer reading list for the Korean leaders.
It's a quick read too. Yeah, it's really good.
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful. What about a brand you admire that's not your own?
Wow, tons of brands I admire that are not my own. We talked about Taco Bell earlier. That's one. Nike's always been a brand that I've admired. Yeah, so there's a couple.
Those are awesome. How about a word for how you might want to lead as you look ahead to the rest of the year that remains?
Mm. A word I would say, I'll say confident. I'm a confident leader. There's a bit, we've been through a lot of difficulty in the last couple of years, and I think the team here really needs that confidence. And we're seeing the results. So I'm confident we're going to continue to do that.
How about anything you want to try in the next year? Something new?
Personally, or is this more as a
Either one, personal, professional?
Yeah. I do want to do more travel. It's funny. I haven't. I travel a lot domestically, but I haven't done a lot of international travel. So we are starting to potentially explore some international opportunities for the brand. So I think that could be both professionally and personally. I'll be doing a lot of travel in the end of the year, fourth quarter of the year, for some potential opportunities for the brand. And it'll also
That's exciting. All right, worldwide, indeed. And is there a country that is on the top of your list? Whether or not Torchy's is primed for it, is there a country that you've been wanting to go to?
There are a couple. I don't want to give those away yet because.
Oh yeah, that's true.
but
Yeah,
yes.
we can't link those now. I've ruined the question.
Sorry.
And then, what about your favorite cocktail or mocktail?
I'm a big fan of an old fashioned. So I'll have to go with old fashioned.
One of my faves. Any particular bourbon?
I like just a standard Woodford Reserve, so it works for me. Yeah,
so good. And Paul, what are you doing day to day to stay creative?
Yeah, it's honestly, I have to be active. I try to get a workout in every morning, or at least 4 days a week, just to kind of get the day started with some energy and get the juices flowing. And as I mentioned, I really do start each of my work days with just organizing myself, because I find I'm more creative if I have that solid foundation. If I'm running late and I don't get to do that foundational work in terms of planning my day, I feel like disheveled and disoriented. So I definitely that doesn't lead to me being creative at all. I need to be organized and kind of calm and then just kind of like have a game plan.
Yeah, I agree. That frees you up so much more to have the better, bigger ideas. Definitely. And how do you make that world famous queso? Why is it so good?
Oh my gosh, it is amazing, isn't it? It's we just won another award in Austin again. So I can't give away the recipe, but I will tell you that I've worked for a lot of brands. The quality of the ingredients we use here are the best, and just incredible. It starts with incredible quality ingredients. So I'll say that much.
That's awesome. No, I would never ask you for the recipe, but yes, I think there's something special about that other brands have tried to replicate, and they just can't.
I will tell you this also. We make it in restaurant. It's different components that are put together in the restaurant, all fresh ingredients, and it's made every 2 hours. So it's not like it's sitting around. So it's not poured out of a bag or out of a can. It's made in restaurant, and it's not just poured together. There's parts that have to be cooked first. So there's different components to it. It is a process in the high quality ingredients.
So great. All right, well, I'm going to get some later. I'm feeling very, very queso ready. And the margaritas are good too, which is how we do it fast casual.
Margaritas are great. Yes, margaritas are great.
So hard.
Probably on the old fashioned question, I probably shouldn't a frozen margarita. That would be my number 2 with the old fashioned. Yeah.
Frozen margarita,
nice
strong.
Frozen
you can have them tied. They can be tied. Torchy's marg. It's spectacular. And having been, like I said, honorary Texan, I've tasted a lot of margaritas, and those are really good. Some might say damn good margaritas. Well, Paul, as we look back on our whole convo, what's one thing you hope a brand leader will do, or think differently about, or try after hearing that?
I do think a couple of things that I mentioned that I've consistently found success in over the last several roles I've had, and that's the recognition stuff we talked about. I just think it's so important. It's kind of funny because if we're hanging out on the street, I don't know, we're talking, but when people say, oh, the CEO's coming to my restaurant, they build that up in their head. Like, I'm just a normal guy, but when I come into the restaurant, there's this expectation and they built this up. And so for me to provide recognition has a credible meaning to them. You know, it's not real. I know it's not really anything me as a person doing. It's really the title. So I try to take it in stride, but the value that people get out of like, hey, I got this card and this pin from the CEO, and they get to tell their families about it and their friends or whatever. So it's an honor, really, you know, and a responsibility that I have to like make those moments special for people when I visit the restaurants. So I think you might not, you know, as a leader in another organization, you might not recognize that, but I tell you, when you come in, whether you're a director or VP, whatever, and you're going into restaurants, if you can recognize someone, it can have a massive impact on that person. So that's the first thing. And the second thing that we talked about was the whole design alliance thing. That is setting expectations as a group, whether that's a couple people, you know, personally or in a work environment, as a group, as an executive team, as a department team, but being clear with what your expectations on how you want to work together and how you want to treat each other, and then revisiting that on a regular basis and asking people how it's going and what can you do better when it's not an emergency. Because if it's an emergency, it's good. There's going to be, you know, emotion involved, but like just on a regular basis, like, hey, let's check in on a design alliance. So those are the two things I'd point to.
Brilliant. Well, Paul, this has been oh, by the way, am I the only one who calls you PMAC? Or are there a lot of people?
So there are some. It started when I reported to another Paul, and that was that we had to diversify. They wanted to call him by his last name. He didn't want to. Like, no, I'm Paul. You're going to have to be somebody else. I'm like, okay, I'll be PMAC. So that's fine. I didn't do it. So I became PMAC in that environment. So some people that worked with me then still call me that, but at Torchy's, nobody really knows that. I mean, I think that's
a great name. That could be your.
I take it.
Yeah, that could be your alter ego. Well, Paul, this is so much fun. Thanks again for sharing your awesome input, your experience, your expertise. Congrats again on making your professional dreams come true. You're really doing it, man.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah, I'm going to keep it going.
Hope to see you soon for a margarita. I'll tell you when I'm coming.
Let's do it.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Stay Starry-Eyed podcast. I hope today's conversation sparked new ideas, strategies, and tools you can use to move your brand and business forward. If you enjoyed this episode, here's how you can help share it with your fellow brand leaders who need it most. Hit follow, share it with a friend, and please leave us 5 stars or a quick review. You know we love all the stars. You can also find show notes, resources, and additional inspiration at starryeyedstrategy.com. Until next time, stay starry-eyed.